is Ryan Hicks, and I want to give my thoughts on Twin Peaks Season 3, Episode 13. What story is that, Charlie? At the very beginning, we get that great scene with the conga line with the Mitchum brothers bringing gifts to the firm. And something that one of the Mitchums says that's interesting is a wrong has been made right. And I think that will probably pay off later. Something, whether it's with Cooper or whether it's with Laura Palmer, who knows. And just to go along with that, it seems that everybody in Twin Peaks is suffering. Like whether it's Big Ed or whether it's Sarah Palmer, we see nothing but suffering. It doesn't seem like anyone is really thriving. So maybe that will pay off at that point. Anthony calls Mr. Todd. Mr. Todd calls for his assistant. We don't know what that call is or what he's going to ask his assistant to do. Then we get to a scene in western Montana at the ranch. And of course we see Evil Coop has come there. And there's a bunch of people who we don't know that are there. Although they do seem, not very nice, pleasant characters. They seem very dirty. Not very nice. I think that probably is a reference to the Woodsman, or there's some sort of connection there. Like maybe the Woodsmen are evil, and these are kind of the evil people in there, including an accountant. So not all of them have to be like sooty-faced and dirty. They can be terrible people and have nice sweaters and vintage glasses on too. Renzo challenges Cooper to an arm wrestling contest. He said in 14 years, no one has ever come close. After this, Cooper says, what is this, kindergarten, nursery school? And of course, we saw that their arm wrestling contest with each other. This is more comfortable. I don't know how that is going to play off, but that'll be interesting. Renzo loses when Cooper looks at him, punches him in the face. And it, I guess it crushes his skull and kills him. It's kind of like crushing the skull of the Woodsman. I think it's intentionally similar to that. Richard is there, and he sees Cooper on the screen. I'm sure there's probably a story there he recognizes or he knows about him. He must, or is just maybe that's the first time he's seen this guy. He's really intrigued by this guy. Who knows? Cooper has to give some cell phones, and many of the guys threw their cell phones there. Something that I guess you think about, because he did beat Renzo, he is now their boss, so maybe he might call for these guys to do something later. It seems like there's a build-up of some sort of fight or some sort of confrontation that's going to happen, and we can kind of see who's going to be in Dougie's corner with the Mitchums and with Battling Bud, with Janie. I want her in my corner. And we're kind of seeing them kind of side up. So who knows if that's going to pay off. We find out with Ray, he shoots Ray and he's getting ready to talk. And of course, all the other guys are out of the room, but they can see what's going on with this. They can probably, I don't know if that plays any purpose other than to put maybe Richard in the room, even though he's not in the room, so he's seen it. He says that a man named Philip Jeffries, or so he's called himself, Philip Jeffries, hired Ray to kill Cooper. I never met him, I only talked to him on the phone. He's the one that set the whole thing up with Warren Murphy. He said, I can get out and stay out if I killed you first. He said, you've got something inside that they want. He says, I know who you are. Cooper asked him, did we ever mention Major Briggs? Jeffrey said, I was supposed to put this on you, the owl ring, on your ring finger on your left hand after I killed you. The ring was given to him, the owl ring was given to him right before I walked out of my cell and saw you, some guard. So who the guard was, what they were doing there, we don't know. Who knows? I'm sure we'll find out. Put it on. So Cooper tells him to put it on the ring finger on the left hand. And Ray says, you want the coordinates I got from Hastings, or rather from his pretty secretary Betty. And we know that Betty's car blew up. So probably that was Ray that did that. Ray gives Cooper the coordinates, and then Cooper says, Ray, where is Philip Jeffries? And then Ray says, I don't know. Last time I heard, he was at a place called the Dutchman's. And then Cooper murders him. We see the ring on his finger disappears, and then his body ends up in the Red Room. Ray is lying there dead, and the ring disappears, and we see a scene of the ring being picked up and put on that little almost altar thing. And I went back and checked, and I believe it's episode 3. That's identical. That scene, like where the hand puts it there, and we only see like this much of the hand. It's identical to episode 3, where Dougie is in the Red Room, and his like head is like a puff of smoke, and we get this little ball in the ring, and the one-armed man picks it up. It's identical to that. I looked, and it's the exact same thing. Like from this shot where it goes there, it's exactly the same. So who knows what that'll have to do. But now we know that the ring is in the Red Room. Yeah. Anyways, again, he asked for the cell phones. It is Gerard from episode 3 at that moment. And then at that moment in episode 3, that's when Cooper came through the power outlet too. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Dougie's footprints match both Coopers, like Evil Coop and Dougie. And then Anthony is looking for Detective Clark, and he wants to know good poison that'll basically kill somebody and won't be able to be traced. We find out there's 2 dirty cops. The 2 cops talk, somebody's onto us. Anthony says, that's why I need the stuff. The 2 cops are going to call Mr. Todd and let him know about Anthony, about that he's starting to crack. We see the scene with Anthony asking Cooper, or Dougie, let me buy you a good cup of coffee, and that whole scene at the same shop where Cooper got the cherry pie. He sees the cherry pie, and I've just figured that cherry pie has saved Dougie's life twice now. Once in the desert with the Mitchum brothers, and once with Anthony. So it's damn fine cherry pie. That's keeps saving him. I guess that maybe redeems Anthony a little bit. I have a feeling it's not going to end well for him, but maybe, the choosing side said he's going to be on Dougie's side now that Dougie saved his life. He'll try and help Dougie. He confesses and agrees to help testify against Duncan Todd. When Bushnell mentions the 2 cops that Dougie found, he says they're worse than Todd. Then at that point, then he freezes up. So whoever these 2 cops are, Detective Clark and whoever the other one is, they're worse than Duncan Todd. Why? How? We don't know. Detective Clark and T. Fusco, I think, was looking in the credits. We see Sarah watching an old boxing match. I assumed it was like something with Bushnell battling Bud, but who knows. And it's on a loop. What she's watching is on a loop, but Sarah doesn't seem to be on a loop. Sarah seems to be going full motion, takes a drink. I saw someone mention that if you take the scene of the drink well and descend, if you time that loop, it's the same as Sarah's loop, and it times up. And when he says drink well and descend, that's when she drinks. What that has to do with anything, I don't know, but pretty cool that is going on. We see some things in the room. We see that there's like a pile of cigarettes, so and we see a pile of booze. She's self-destructive, been self-destructive. There's 2 bunnies by the TV. I don't know what that has to do with anything. And we see the picture of Donna and Laura in the background too. We haven't seen Donna. This is the first we've seen of Donna in this whole time. So who knows? Keeps drinking, grabs another bottle. As she goes back into the kitchen, grabs another bottle, and this continues. When the loop starts up again, there's a buzzing sound, like sort of sound. We see electricity happening a lot, so I'm sure that means something. I just don't know what it means. We see Audrey. She is shaken up. Charlie's office decor is very old-fashioned. Like, there's not one hint of technology. There's not like a cell phone. His phone looks old. There's no computer. There's nothing. There's no indication in there that it's like modern time. It's quite old. Like, not even like 80s old, but it seems, quite old. So who know? I have no idea what the significance is that, but it's interesting that we see all these other things happening in the series, but it's intentional that there's all these papers all over the place. He seems very busy. He uses technology and then he talks on the phone, but it doesn't, and nothing seems like modern technology. But Audrey's really shaking up. To me, I find it really disturbing because I don't know, where Audrey's at. Again, it seems to be another person within Twin Peaks that is suffering, and we don't want to see Audrey suffer. Who am I supposed to trust but myself? I don't even know, but I don't even know who I am. I feel like I'm somewhere else, like I'm somebody else. And then he says, go to the roadhouse and see if Billy's there. She asks if it's far. She really seems to not know where it is. Audrey, are you playing games? Are you going to stop playing games, or do I have to end your story too? What story is that, Charlie? That's the part that I found probably the most disturbing, even more disturbing than the Renzo punch. Do I have to end your story too? Do I have to end your story too? Almost implying that he killed somebody. Something. I don't know. It's pretty horrible, though. And the fact that they called the episode, What Story Is That, Charlie? Tells me that that's an important part. So, I don't know. It doesn't look good for Audrey. But she really does seem out of it. She doesn't know how to get to the roadhouse. She seems so kind of angry and like loud and like, come on, let's go. In the last episode now it's like a herd animal. Doesn't know what to do. Doesn't really seem to want to go now. But yeah, Charlie seems fine. So who knows? She says, is that the story of the little girl who lives down the lane? Charlie goes quiet. I don't know if that was in reference to Laura Palmer or what. Charlie, help me. It's like Ghostwood here. Audrey looks around, sobs. And then it's like Ghostwood in here. Ghostwood is like Ghostwood Estates. That was Ben Horn's like real estate operation. He wanted to originally buy the Packard Mill and have like a whole, bunch of properties set up in Ghostwood. It's like Ghostwood in here. No idea what that is going to pay off. And then we see the Roadhouse probably presents James Hurley playing Just You, which we saw in season 2 with Maddie and Donna singing the background. And it's lip synced, like it's obviously lip synced. It's the exact same performance that he did from back then. Nothing has changed. There's a whole band playing, but yet there's no band on stage. It's just James playing the guitar and the two girls doing that. It's intentionally lip synced. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But it's out of time. It's not quite in sequence. It's not quite right. I don't know. It's nice to see James, though. James is still really cool. And then we do see that girl in the booth that we saw earlier. Looks like she's talking to someone, but we don't see them. She's just drinking wine and begins crying. Who she is, what connection she has. She looks a little younger than like the rest of the cast of like the original cast, so I don't know if she's like a contemporary of those guys or what her story is. She seems kind of like in the middle somehow. We either seen kind of like 20-year-olds or like people in their like early 50s, and she seems kind of in the middle. I think she was also one of the people sitting in the booth with Shelley in that one episode when they were at the Roadhouse and we saw James, and James is always cool. Maybe that scene of James singing is supposed to be the same night, because we see a few things that are out of time. Like for example, we saw with Bobby at the Double R, he tells Norma they found something of his dad's today, and we know it's not today compared to where it is in the series, but who knows? Something's not right. Big Ed is at the gas farm. He's eating some soup and drinking some coffee while the credits happen. Something seems to be not quite right. Like, I think the coffee and the soup moved. Like, there's just a few little variances with that, and apparently his reflection, like you can see the coffee cup but not his reflection. And it seems to be probably Big Ed's gas farm is like on the edge of town. The fact that he's looking out the window to me is like he's lonely, he's alone. But also, if someone new came to town, like Cooper, Evil Coop, he's probably going to be the first one to encounter him too. So I don't know what that has anything to do with anything. The fact that he lit a match and lit something on fire. Yeah, who knows? Great episode, great story. it makes me sad because we are now coming down to these final things, and it's really clear that a lot of this stuff is not going to be resolved or answered. And I have no idea. Although, that being said, if you look about how much story has happened in the last even 3 episodes, it's incredible. So I know it's going to be wonderful. I know it's going to be great. It just makes me sad that this is kind of like the end of it. And, I can't believe how much I knew I'd enjoy this season, but I thought I would be enjoying like nostalgic, like here's some more cherry pie, and here's, Cooper doing this unusual stuff, and all kind of like pushing the same buttons from the original series. And all the best things have been new characters, new places, new scenes, like very, very little Twin Peaks, which has probably frustrated a lot of people, and probably for people tuning in, maybe people go, huh? What is this Twin Peaks place? We don't even see Twin Peaks. But that's a real testament of how strong the story is that they can introduce all these new things, and it's hard to compare, but I love it. I've just been like so blown away and satisfied, and Sunday nights are my favorite night of the week because that's the night that I get to be surprised, and there's very little surprising things left in this world that are truly surprising. It's horrifying, it's terrible, it's awful, yet it's hilarious and heartwarming. It's just a great trip. Thanks, and looking forward to the next episode. Have a great day.